We're living that Barbie fantasy tonight. Wow. Can't tell if this is like Barbie, 70s, 70s Barbie. Hi everyone, how are you today? Great, good to see you. If you're coming back, this is your first time, welcome. It's the podcast format. I don't really broadcast anything besides to y'all and talk about interesting things. First off, it always overwhelms me and kind of freaks me out how much content there is on YouTube. Some of it is just like immaculately produced and really well executed, well researched. Some of it is all of those things, but it doesn't stay with you. It doesn't have any kernel of truth in it, maybe, or trendy and topical. So you just watch it to get information and you're over it. Sometimes intimidating for me to post anything on my channel because does anyone really care? I have no slick editing. I have no cool sound effects. I have no crash zooms. But I will say that the meat and potatoes of what I produce, what I try to purvey to the world, the core of that, the heart of that is from my heart. Even though it might not be as, I really appreciate anybody who comes to my channel, who subscribes, who likes to hear what I have to say. Hopefully it helps in some way and entertains in some way and is fun to watch, but you walk away with something a little deeper. Because I think that's kind of a missing element in modern videos that we watch, is everything is light and on the surface and nothing is deeper. So I want to say thank you, truly thank you, from the bottom of my heart. It means a lot to me. All of you are my pretend best friends. Along those lines, today I wanted to talk about something that is kind of a confusing subject, as are all of the new age, forward-thinking, science meets spirituality topics, which is mantras or affirmations. The concept of words that you repeat to better your life, usually after some horrible event or something catastrophic leads you to want to change your life, or maybe you just are ready to move on, whatever the scenario. Either people believe that it's 100% bull honky, or they're on board with it and it's a method that they use all the time. So how do you differentiate? How do you know if it's complete and utter bullshit, and how do you know if it's really going to work for you? As with all mental tools that you can utilize in daily life, the underlying emotional landscape is really what's going to be doing the work. If you have a mantra that's, I want to be happy, but yet all you're doing is saying, I want to be happy, I want to be happy, I want to be happy in times of sadness or depression or whatever, and you're not really doing any of the work to change that situation, but you just keep repeating the phrase, it's not nearly as powerful as you leaving that toxic relationship, quitting that horrible job, starting a self-care routine that really benefits you, and then using that mantra as an affirmation of all that change. I've had tons of phrases over the years. Some of them are more effective than others because I had the matching vibe underneath, really jived with what I had going on internally at the time so that they worked together. That's one of the keys, I would say. Long time ago, I realized that I was a people pleaser. I really wanted everyone to like me. I didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't want to ruffle feathers. If there was a conflict, I'd be the first one to try to smooth things over, which that's not a bad thing. However, if that's all you do in response to a crisis situation and you don't take into account what you have going on, it can be extremely toxic. Around that same time, I found the Abraham-Hicks Teachings. I've mentioned them on my channel before, but if you don't know, Abraham-Hicks is a non-physical entities, and they are channeled by Esther Hicks. It's not one person channeling another person, it's a group of non-physical entities. As I mentioned before, sometimes people just, they're like, oh god, that's the devil, that's horrible, that's bad. So if you feel that way, it's I wouldn't look into their teachings. However, when I found Abraham-Hicks, it was exactly what I needed at the time. I needed the other piece to another spiritual teacher that I had been delving into before that, and that was Bartholomew. Bartholomew, again, is a channeled entity. Main message of Bartholomew is just starting with yourself, loving yourself, focusing on what you want, what you need, being the person that you choose most often. And that kickstarted my Abraham-Hicks journey. Every layer that you add to your journey works together, and if the student is ready, the teacher will present themselves. It's you opening a door and you looking within and you being like, okay, I'm ready to let go of all of that. I'm ready to change. I'm ready to step it up, step it the fuck up and just do what I need to do. It can be very scary. Like, where do you even start? Like, you don't have enough on your plate as it is. Like, now you gotta... If you feel a calling to changing anything within your current life, mantras and affirmations are a good way, as I mentioned before, to work in conjunction with that. It'll help keep you focused. Not a magic wand statement that will bring you have a happy life now, but it is definitely a powerful tool if you use it in conjunction with other changes. So I'm not sure if Abraham-Hicks is where I found this phrase or if it was just organically. It's probably a combination of both. The phrase that has helped me the most throughout my journey is, teach me, I want to learn. Full disclaimer, saying teach me I want to learn means every area of your life where things are not jiving for your highest good, it will start to unravel. Things will start to reveal themselves. Toxic, negative things will start popping up and you won't be able to ignore them anymore. You're asking for the knowledge, it will be shown to you. That can kick your ass. So if you are in a really negative, toxic relationship and you want to know how to get out of it and how to peaceably, comfortably, respectfully, and with love get out of that situation in the moment of conflict, in the moment of a fight, in the moment of feeling your worst, if you say, teach me, I want to learn how to, get out of this, get out of that, or just teach me, I want to learn just in general, just where do I start? You will be shown, in no uncertain terms, you will be shown exactly what you need to do. You just have to have the absolute will and cojones to see it through. So what does that mean exactly? So if you are shown, okay, I have been reacting a certain way to a certain type of input, teach me, I want to learn might show you how to react to that differently. Your own voice will pop into your head, or a scenario will pop into your head where you hear yourself utilizing words you've never used before, or an instance where you got this cross wiring from your childhood will pop into your head, and then naturally you will follow that line and figure out a way to make it better. For me, about a week or so into employing this mantra, the surrounding circumstances in my life were that I had just had my first kid, I had moved back home to my hometown. I was feeling like I needed to know how to be better for myself, for my child, for everybody that I love. If I had just kind of removed myself from the life that I had had up until then, I wanted to really make it worth it. I just didn't want to waste that time. About a week into using Teach Me I Want to Learn mantra, I started noticing the devices to which I was being controlled verbally and emotionally. I started noticing passive-aggressive phrases. I started noticing being gaslit a lot more. All those devices. As soon as I noticed them, I took offense to them. Prior to using that affirmation, I would notice them sort of, but it would just kind of float by my consciousness. And then I would just take it and take it and take it, stuff it down, and just feel horrible later. After I started using the affirmation, I didn't take it anymore. I took offense to it. And I would push back on occasion, which would mean a fight. 100% worth it, because I was standing my ground. I was taking into account my feelings, my needs, my wants, and my emotional reaction to all of that. Knocked my whole emotional world on its ass. But as soon as I got up, as soon as I started really saying, no, just teach me, just show me, I knew how to handle it. Before the words would escape me, a polite way of declining something that I really didn't want to fucking do, and that someone was trying to put screws to me and make me do for their benefit. My inner being rejected what was being thrown at me. And before, my inner being didn't even know that I could do that. So it caused a little bit of carnage. I had asked for it. Changes. Hard at the beginning, excruciating in the middle, and then at the end of it, you're like, wow, I can't believe I ever was even in a situation like that in the first place. It kept me honest. It kept me engaged in it. Once the blinders get removed from your eyes, it's impossible to go back. So naturally, when you start seeing things in a different way, you can see maybe your side of things that you hadn't really been realizing. All of the instances where I felt like a victim of someone else, a victim of evil, a victim of something that I really had no control over, I realized that I was just complying with things that I didn't want. There's a fraction of victimness or victimhood, but ultimately I was the one that was signing off on it. I started, like I said, trying to heal that part of myself that felt like I had to please everybody. At the heart of that, it's that I just wanted everybody to be happy because I don't want everyone to leave and me to be alone. That's the way deep down, which I think is common for a lot of people. I think that the fear of being alone, the unknown, is scary to a lot of people, to most people. Seeing that, realizing that about myself, and then having to kind of pick myself up by my bootstraps, yeah, it was tough. But the alternative was to just stay where I was in that anguishing position and never be better. In effect, my daughter would grow up with those same problems, with those same wounds, because if you're not healed, you're just going to pass it right on to your children. I had motivation to keep going with it. Bottom line is that we live in a world of input. 24/7, 365, what we hear, what we see, what our opinions are, someone else's opinions that we should have too, what we're told to do, constant. If we are to remain ourselves, if we are to remain in charge of our own articulation of that input, to have individuality and to still be able to pursue the life that we want, we have to know what we want. Not what we're encouraged to want, not what we're told that we should want, but what we really truly want in the depths of our soul. If you have no idea, if you are just completely blissfully unaware of any of that, but you know that you're unaware of it, Teach Me I Want to Learn is a really good jumping off place, in my opinion. It does kind of just remember that embarrassment or awkwardness, that trigger, that kind of shame, that will teach you what you need to heal. Like I said, the key to it working is just really sticking with it and seeing it through completely, not just stopping when things get tough and thinking that it's not working for you. Because it is, but you just have to do the work. The best way that I found for it to be comprehensive is to treat it like a science experiment. Use the input that you have, notice things, set an intention to notice when things are upsetting you or what it is that's bothering you. Collect that data and then ask, Teach Me I Want to Learn, in a controlled environment. Someone that's close to you, a friend or someone that will understand what you're doing. You can even tell them what you're doing and just see how you feel. Check in with yourself. If you start to feel relief, empowerment, excitement, joy when you start implementing whatever comes to you, you're on the right track. That's the main goal, is to feel empowered, to feel joyful, to feel good about yourself. You don't have to do anything anyone says. And the more that you guilt yourself into thinking that you do, the harder it's going to be in your daily life to feel empowered, to feel strong, to feel like you are the one and that you are qualified to help yourself. And it's nuts to think that you wouldn't be qualified to help yourself. You've known yourself the longest. You know yourself the best. Affirmations or mantras, they can really help you do that. But you gotta see it through. Is it overnight change? In no way. Is it 100% worth it when you start getting the hang of it and start being the person you really want to be? Without a doubt. We can only really change ourselves, guys, at the end of the day. In this crazy world that we're living in right now, where everything is changing really rapidly, there are things that you consume in the media or that you happen to hear that just freak you out. You can feel really lost and like you don't have any way of battling that or any way of being in control, but you do. You have yourself to be in control of. And the more you change yourself, the more your external world changes, which is another benefit, but it takes you wanting to change. It takes you being committed to moving forward and being the best person that you can be for those you love, for yourself. If a small sentence really flicks that switch for you or helps you to stay in control of yourself, stay in control of your trajectory and where you're headed and where you want to go, use it. If you set an intention to come up with a mantra, to find a mantra, another one will come to you, a phrase will come to you. Sometimes they come to you in dream. Right as you're falling asleep, your subconscious is taking over, and so something will kind of slip out. In the shower, letting your thoughts soften. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't. Another few, if you can't really come up with any on your own, or you just kind of want a ready-made one, which is cool too. Thank you. I would like some more. That's in instances where things are going great, you're feeling good, feeling the vibe, something amazing comes through for you, a manifestation or like something really amazing. Thank you, universe. I would like some more is the one that's the real one that I used. Thank you, God. Just thank you. Highlights the good stuff. It also works with negative situations. if you say thank you when you are feeling your worst and being appreciative in that moment, you throw a glitch in the matrix, because the universe only hears your vibration of gratitude. But it can't be like, oh, thank you so much, and all like passive aggressive. It has to really truly be like, thank you. And usually if you're crying or very distraught and you start saying thank you, your body doesn't know the difference between joyful crying and sad depressed crying. So saying thank you when you're upset and kind of blending it into joyful crying, it's really powerful. It's a bit next level, so I would start with teach me, I want to learn, see what happens. And another one, and this is directly from Abraham-Hicks, all is well. Even if it doesn't feel like it, giving yourself a little mental space and a little emotional space from having to grab it and wrestle with it and figure it out is really beneficial, especially if you are trying to get your bearings with that type of stuff. I'm saying the phrase, all is well. Things are always working out for me. That's the phrase that I use. Just finding a little shred of relief and finding a little way so that your bubbles can float back up to the top. Your cork will float back up to the top if you stop trying to hold it down with your thoughts. It's a way of doing it. All is well, and things are always working out for me. And sometimes all you need is just a little bit, a little while of that, a week of that, a month of that. And then you'll just kind of click into a better mode of being. All of the mantras that I used, it was probably about 3 or 4 months, 5 months, maybe 6 months, half a year, maybe a full year. Teach me, I want to learn was a big one, and it kind of thrashed everything for about 6 months. But then that next 6 months was amazing. A lot of change, a lot of growth, a lot of joyful time. Remember that. Keep strong, keep vigilant. So that's it. I hope it helps. That's my thoughts for the day. The last few days, it's been just like 65 degrees and that beautiful breeze and all the bees. Yeah, I got buyers. We live in a complex world, guys, but it's also really beautiful. And it's worth all of us fighting for in some way, you know, kind of like fighting for. But really, the fighting is just all of us choosing to be better. And if all of us choose to be better and we all do our individual changing, the world will change really quickly. We all got to do the work. I got to continue. People that haven't started got to start. It's an ongoing forever thing, but it's worth it. I'm rooting for us sorted humans. I really am. And I know we're going to be okay. And I know you're going to be okay. I do. I know you're going to be okay. How do I know that? I feel it in my bones. Do you use this method? What phrases work for you? Like, I would love to know down in the comments. I love hearing all about you guys. So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, notificationer, ding ding. If you're feeling it, of course. I'll see you guys soon with another one. Until then.